In southeastern Ohio, hidden beneath the rim of an ancient plateau, lies a place that time has been quietly shaping for over 300 million years. This is Little Rocky Hollow State Nature Preserve. To reach it, you don't walk in, you descend. 300 feet down through hemlock and sandstone, leaving the modern world somewhere above you on the ridge. The first thing you notice is the sound. Water. Always water, finding its way through cracks in stone that were old before the first dinosaur drew breath. You hear it before you ever see it. This is Pristine Falls, tucked deep into a sandstone recess, sheltered from the sky. One of the many waterfalls that mark your journey through the hollow, each one a chapter, each one carved by the same patient creek that has been doing this work for longer than we can truly imagine. The walls of Little Rocky Hollow are made of Black Hand Sandstone, named for a dark hand-shaped deposit found elsewhere in the region. These layers were laid down over 320 million years ago, at the delta of an ancient river system, long before this continent took its current shape. When you look closely at the surface, you are looking at individual grains of sand, compressed by the weight of time itself into solid stone. The iron minerals bleeding through the rock face, the same oxidation that colors desert canyons, staining these walls in shades of amber and rust. Water has been finding the weaknesses in this stone for millions of years. Slowly, patiently, dissolving what it could, carrying away what it couldn't. What remains is this: Rockside Falls. Between the falls of Little Rocky Hollow, the trail does not always accommodate. Massive blocks of Black Hand Sandstone, some the size of a small house, have been calving from the hollow walls for thousands of years, coming to rest exactly where gravity demanded. The creek finds its way around them, so must you. These boulders have been here long enough that the forest has claimed them entirely. Moss thick as carpet covers every surface. Ferns take root in cracks that weren't there a century ago. And the trees above, their roots drape over the stone like patient fingers, slowly, slowly, working their way down to the soil below. Around every bend in this hollow, the canyon reveals something new. The walls press closer, then open again. The sound of water grows, then fades, then grows louder still. In Little Rocky Hollow, you always hear what's coming before you see it. Little Rocky Hollow exists, in large part, because of what didn't happen here. During the last great ice age, roughly 20,000 years ago, glaciers advanced southward across Ohio, flattening everything in their path. The weight of ice a mile thick, grinding ancient hills into the flat farmland most people associate with this state today. But the glaciers stopped just short of here. The terminal moraine, the furthest edge of the ice, sits only miles to the north. And so this corner of Ohio was spared. While the rest of Ohio was being reshaped by ice, the hollows of the Hocking Hills region were being shaped by something older and more patient: water. Finding every weakness in the sandstone, every crack, every softer layer hiding beneath a harder one, dissolving, undercutting, carrying away grain by grain what took millions of years to form. The result is a landscape that feels displaced, Ancient in a way that the surrounding countryside simply is not. Because here, the glaciers never came to reset the clock. Some parts of this hollow remain beyond easy reach. Waterfalls, tucked into recesses that the terrain discourages. Seen from a distance, heard clearly, but demanding something more of those who would approach. There is something right about that. Not every wild place needs to be convenient. Some are better left, mostly, to themselves. As you move through Little Rocky Hollow, the canyon walls in places begin to change character. What started as a narrow gorge becomes something more cathedral than trail. The sandstone here has been undercut by millennia of seeping groundwater, leaving overhanging walls that lean out above you, blocking the sky. This is Utopia Falls territory, and the cliff face here demands your attention. There is something primal about standing next to a wall of stone this size. It is not threatening exactly, but it is not indifferent either. You are aware, in a way that everyday life rarely allows, of your own scale, of how briefly you have been here, compared to this. The rock does not notice you. It has been here for 320 million years. You are a passing shadow. And yet the water keeps working. Utopia Falls, named perhaps for the unlikely perfection of this hidden place, drops through a gap in the sandstone, worn smooth by uncountable years of the same motion. Patient, persistent, indifferent to everything, except gravity. In the hollows of southeastern Ohio, water always wins. Not all waterfalls announce themselves with scale. Extine Falls makes its case differently, with persistence. Where others drop in a single dramatic plunge, Extine descends in stages, cascade after cascade, each tier handing the water to the next, a staircase carved by the same patient process that shaped everything else in this hollow. In a place defined by the work of water, Extine Falls is perhaps the most honest expression of that work. The light here plays by its own rules. Sunlight finds the upper rim, flooding the sandstone in warm amber, while the falls themselves remain cool and shadowed below. Two worlds sharing the same stone. It is a reminder that Little Rocky Hollow exists between things, between light and shadow, between ancient and present, between the world above the rim and the one you find when you descend into it. These recess caves offered more than geological curiosity to those who came before us. For thousands of years, long before European settlement, the Adena and Hopewell peoples of ancient Ohio sought shelter in formations exactly like this one. Protected from rain and wind by the overhanging sandstone, cool in summer, insulated in winter, these recesses were natural architecture that required no construction. Standing in one today, it is not difficult to imagine the fires that once burned here. The same stone ceiling overhead, the same sound of water nearby. Some things about this hollow have not changed in a very long time. From inside the recess, the hollow looks different. The world narrows to a frame of stone. The waterfall finds its way down the back wall. Quiet here, almost private. As if this particular corner of Little Rocky Hollow kept something back, reserved for those willing to make the extra effort to reach it. To understand Little Rocky Hollow, you have to travel back, not thousands of years, but hundreds of millions. 320 million years ago, the land beneath your feet was not Ohio. It was not even close to where Ohio sits today. This region lay near the equator, covered by a warm, shallow tropical sea. Coral reefs, marine life, a world utterly unrecognizable from what surrounds you now. As the sea retreated, vast river systems took its place. Rivers as large as anything on Earth today, carrying sediment from ancient mountains to the east, spreading it across a broad coastal delta. Sand, grain by grain, layer by layer, settling into the bed of that ancient delta, and slowly, over millions of years, being compressed into stone. That stone is what you are walking on right now.
That was a leap of faith, buddy.
The Black Hand Sandstone beneath Little Rocky Hollow is essentially a frozen snapshot of an ancient beach. The individual grains of sand you can see in the rock face were once loose on the shore of a tropical sea that no longer exists, on a continent that no longer exists in its current form, under a sun that looked down on a world with no humans, no mammals, and no flowers. And yet here you are, standing on it. Somewhere nearby, the Buckeye Trail passes through, one of Ohio's longest footpaths, stretching over 1,000 miles around the state, briefly descends into this hollow before climbing back out again. Most who follow it are moving through, destination-minded, mile counters. Little Rocky Hollow rewards those who aren't. The recessed caves of the hollow are the oldest sheltered spaces in this landscape, formed not by dramatic collapse, but by something far more patient. Groundwater seeping through microscopic cracks in the sandstone, dissolving the natural cement that binds the grains together, grain by grain, century by century, until the rock simply wasn't there anymore. The result is a space that feels intentional, carved for a purpose, though the only purpose was water, following gravity, as it always has. Watch the light on moving water long enough, and something happens. The mind quiets. The relentless forward motion of thought slows. Ancient peoples understood this. They camped beside water not only for survival, but for this. The oldest meditation there is, the pattern that never repeats and never stops. In Little Rocky Hollow, the water has been doing this for 300 million years. It will be doing it long after we are gone. As the hollow begins to open, the light returns. The hemlock shadows give way to patches of sunlight. And with the light comes color. Spring wildflowers line the creek bank. Wild blue phlox, Virginia bluebells. Each one a small declaration that winter is finished, and the hollow is very much alive. This is what the sheltered microclimate of Little Rocky Hollow produces every April. A wildflower display that the surrounding landscape, still weeks away from its own bloom, simply cannot match. Where there are wildflowers, there are pollinators. The eastern tiger swallowtail, one of North America's largest and most recognizable butterflies, finds the phlox irresistible. Its entire adult life, measured in weeks, It moves through the hollow with a purpose and an urgency that the ancient stone around it knows nothing of. 320 million years of geology, and a butterfly that will live for 3 weeks. Little Rocky Hollow holds both, with equal indifference and equal grace. The creek has been a constant companion through every step of this hollow. It does not hurry, it does not pause. It simply continues, as it has for millions of years, finding the path of least resistance through stone that was old before life learned to walk on land. Follow it long enough, and it will show you everything the hollow has to offer. The last recess cave we visit sits at the end of a small tributary, tucked away from the main trail, belonging entirely to those willing to follow the water to find it. Inside, the sound changes. The hollow goes quiet in a particular way that only stone walls can produce. Cool air, dim light, the smell of wet sandstone and moss. It feels intentional, as if the hollow saves something back, for the end. People sometimes ask what draws someone to places like this. What is worth a 7-mile hike through difficult terrain, boulder scrambles, creek crossings, just to stand in a sandstone recess at the back of an Ohio hollow? The answer is not easy to put into words. Some people seek the sacred in buildings built by human hands. There is nothing wrong with that. But there are those of us who prefer to go directly to the source. Little Rocky Hollow Nature Preserve, Southeastern Ohio. 320 million years in the making. Still here, still working, still waiting for those willing to descend.